Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, but I think it's important at a meeting like this that for this stretch of the blocks that you be very specific about what are the specific urgent impacts from this. They didn't give you the. Okay, because you know.
I want to help you like Fifth Avenue right here is the station right here.
Okay. Lightfoot just said that in November, December, they walked around and went from store to store and talked to like 21 different places.
Okay, let me answer something. Like a coffee office last week. When you do that, I feel like if some people that's not fair. You put me in a corner and you tell me that this is what it is on my side. That's not fair. Even though we can have all of that.
Did they talk to you?
So I think that you need to be very on both sides.
Well, I think they're probably the first thing is just to let people know it's happening, and then hopefully get a meeting, which, you know, because it's a multi-meeting. You can't, resolve things like this. I think because.
Okay, sure. Please, I'm happy to have you sit there.
Together and get started. We got people taking their kids to school and one thing or another, so people will be trickling in. So, respect for people who came on time. We're going to go ahead and get going. And, people join us as they're coming, I'm sure. I'd like to introduce the two finalists here for today.
Thank you. Thank you everybody for showing up today. First, let me introduce. I'm sorry, I switched the agenda a little bit, but we need to introduce ourselves. This group of merchants from East Lake. We combine with San Antonio. Some of them are also from the district, and we want to work on this project ourselves. We basically come together. These are the very first meeting that we have with AC Transit here at East Lake. Many of our merchants are very concerned because they don't even know what it is, what is your project is about. And so we're here today, and we are hoping to have minimal meeting with you. Let's go around and introduce ourselves, who we are, and for the merchants in the area, please tell AC Transit and everybody how long have you been here and what your business is. Let me start with myself. I am the manager for HB Dental, manager and owner for HB Dental, which is 650 International Boulevard. I have been here for more than 20 years. That's why I care about community. I care about what's happening in the area. And I'm also co-captain for East Lake.
Hi, I'm Shelley Liu. I'm from New King Restaurant on 200 International. We haven't been here that long, but we've been around International and East 12 for about 20 years, all my life.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Anna Wong and I'm owner with the Saigon Printing. I'm in this business for 5 years and I do concern very much about the community and the area, especially the parking, spot. Thank you.
Lorena Arroyo Garcia. I'm with Eastward Ventures, and I'm part of the merchant outreach team.
My name is Carrie Lightfoot, and I am the community outreach manager for the BRT project. I'm with Lightfoot and Associates.
Good morning, Andrea Lowe with Eastward Ventures as well. We've been working on merchant outreach as well as we'll be working on outreach as far as the contractors, construction opportunities.
Hello, I'm HandyCam. I'm the city council member for District 2, which is the area.
Thank you.
Elisa Gallo, I'm from the city of Oakland and the Office of Economic Development, working on the BRT business.
Antonio Vargas, just a resident and concerned citizen of Oakland.
Kevin Blackburn, lifelong resident of District 2, minus 7 years. And candidate for city council District 2 since your councilman is retiring.
Okay, my name is Jeffrey Johnson. I am the community planner for Transform. I'm here to listen to concerns about the BRT project. I am a former staffer for Oakland City Council District 1, and I grew up in Oakland, 12th grade, so I am a long time Oakland listener.
Good morning. My name is Ronaldo Terrazas. My wife and I bought a half a block of 14th and 18th Avenue. We decided on the open pouring next to the Eagles of that service, and I have my business next door. We have an apartment building on 14th and 18th Avenue, and another building on 18th Avenue. Yeah, that's right.
Buenos días, yo soy Francisco Bautista, yo vengo de la revista Universal, y mi negocio está en la avenida 23 Internacional. Tengo 3 años ya.
My name is Francisco. I own a magazine, a universal magazine, 23rd International. I've been in the neighborhood for the last 2 years.
Good morning, my name is Yanni. I'm from Yanni's Kitchen here in Oakland. I have a business in Oakland, but I'm from San Jose. And I came here because I saw something, and I don't want to love it.
Mandy Nelson, I work for East Bay.
Hi, my name is Lynn Hart. I have the business across street, somehow Market. I worked here about 25 years, and my sister worked first, and also like 35 years. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tim Lee. I own property here and a business here. This is my biggest concern.
Andrew Park on the drive, we're looking at possibly leasing or buying space on 23rd and International. I'm also a candidate for city council.
David Wilkins, AC Transit, BRT.
So is it everyone here? Thank you so much. So let me go forward to the agenda. The purpose for the meeting today, let me tell you something. We, merchant here, have the passion for our area. So when you come to our area, we would like to know why and what impact you will bring to us. And so today, we would like to go over 3 things. First, we want to express the concern when the BRT come in. And also, second, we want to hear what you have to say, your plan, and how do you address and your response to the question and concern that we raise. And number 3, we would like the AC Transit to tell us your concrete commitment to address our concern. You know, in the past, I have attended many of the meetings. For instance, one of the meetings was on the Pearl District. Their concern are very familiar and very similar to what we have. And yet, today I'm here to ask you respectfully for your concrete proposal and commitment to work with us. We do not go in a circle because we don't have pamphlet. And we will make our commitment known to you that we will fight to the best we can to make sure that you are working with us because the impact is tremendous. So let's go over concern that we have. So Shelley, do you want to talk about the parking in the area and what you have so far since AC Transit is here as well at the city?
It is said that this project will take away about 400 to 500 customer parking spaces all along International Boulevard. This brings up many concerns with the merchants. We are afraid that our customers will not be able to find parking all along this block because, well, it already takes a long time in general. We're afraid that trucks that need to unload or load their supplies will cause traffic and will make it thus harder for our customers to come to our businesses or to their work or so. We are also afraid that customers that would like to come into our parking lot, if any of the business owns the parking lot, will have a harder time driving in and out, and it will cause safety issues for them. In addition, people who need to find parking will probably take advantage of our parking lots, and this will just make problems for our possible customers to come in and look and have a spot to come in and use our ticket or do business with us. And I already think that I can't afford a valid parking system for my small little parking lot, so that's one of my issues. But all along this area, we're just thinking about what are you going to do about these 500 parking spaces that will be taken away?
Okay, thank you. Also, what about the assessor? Okay, you can raise your concern about the loading zone.
Bueno, el proyecto de BRT pretende resolver el problema de carga y descarga de mercancía. Sí, porque algunas calles no cuentan, la mayoría de las calles no cuentan con callejones detrás de sus negocios.
You say that parking is difficult, or loading is difficult in this area because the people park there in front of the business anyway. And I don't see it just have one lane. There'll be a problem.
All right, also what about, would you like to talk about the overall?
Did you want to translate?
Yeah, they translate. The overall changes in the area, it's not going to be as, the same neighborhood that we have been for the last 20 years.
That's right. The BRT is going to make it very difficult for businesses that do foot traffic, such as automotive repair, wholesale supply businesses, and light industry. These businesses create jobs, usually better paying jobs than the retail that would replace them. The entrepreneurs who have created them on these 14 streets did so with their sweat, taking their own risk, and carving out a living on a very dangerous environment on these 14 streets. They pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes every year, supporting agencies like AC. Many of them are going to have to close. We want to know what will be done to help these businesses, and also want to know where businesses like that will be allowed to try to look. We know you can't answer these questions, but you should know that for us, what is at stake is what happens to an entire section of businesses who, through no fault of their own, just don't fit in. Oakland has rezoned this area 3 different times for the last 44 years. And every time to rezone, they're more restricted. And what's happening is that little by little, business happens. And with AC coming down East 14th Street, it just makes it very, very, very difficult to be in business. And I'm kind of curious. The city council, I assume you voted did you vote on this issue here?
On the BRT or
Correct.
or on Sony, which is
No,
totally
on
different
the
things.
gate. You voted on that issue?
We have not given the final approval, but we have voted on several things, and we've actually put a whole lot of conditions on the last one of which was doing the business vacations. And,
Ultimately, what was, in your idea, what was the benefit to people?
is that what you want me to?
I'm sorry, so how do you feel?
We can,
I think we will try to stick with the agenda, so I'll jump right now to tell you about our concern, and then AC Transit have an opportunity to follow. And then after you hear both of our side, then you can talk about, what do you have in mind? Is it okay? Okay. Also, before we move forward to AC Transit, to give you an opportunity to discuss with us, I want you to know that last week, I think 2 weeks ago, we had about 40 to 50 merchants in the area coming to, yes, you were there. And so it was very explosive. We expressed our concern, our frustration, our anger. It was a lot. And the meeting was at 3:30. So the reason we switched it to 9 o'clock is so those merchants who could not make it there can make it today. And that's the reason why, but there's a lot of the missing puzzle, which is from you. AC Transit wasn't there, but the city heard our concern, definitely. So bottom of the line is this. We want you to address. We've been here for 20, 30 years, a lot of our merchants. And yet some of the business will be gone forever. You are taking 4 lane, merge it into 2 lane. And so that will affect our ability to load and unload. Restaurant will be suffer because by 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, our area will be shut down completely. It's not safe for us to receive our delivery, okay? And also, we are competing with Chinatown people. When you think about that and other merchants in the area, so if they circle around for 10 or 20 minutes to find just one parking lot, one parking space, they decide to go elsewhere, and that's our challenge. So what are you going to do about that? You are not talking about the merchants. You are not talking about the business, 1 or 2 business. You are talking about many of us. That will equate to our family, our children that we have to feed, our employee. For instance, my office, we have 20 employees. Each of them you multiply to 4. 20 times 4, that means 80 people. You are talking about it's just so many layers of effect here. So I would like to sit down with you. We would like to hear what can you do to help us out. Thank you.
Just to talk a little bit about the structure of the meeting today, so we're all clear. That first of all, this agenda put together out of questions by merchants themselves. I'm going to ask everybody here to respect the integrity of this agenda. For whatever reason we'll be here, I'm asking that of everyone in the room, including our folks, and we'll make sure that we get a chance to get all of our questions addressed as this process goes on. I just want to ask folks to respect our community and respect our agenda, so we can very excited and appreciate it.
All right, thank you. Yeah.
Is it possible we can close the?
Sure, sure.
Terry, is that okay?
Oh, yeah, that was more. So, let me start with, we'll, as we do the presentation, I know there's some follow-up questions that will be asked after we are complete. And so, but if I'm saying something that folks are unclear about, feel free to interrupt and make sure that we're covering the ground we want to address. So, where we are in the project, I think it's important to talk a little bit about this project has been under consideration, under planning for a very long time. And where we are now is, after having followed a very intensive environmental review process in which the public is very heavily involved in providing comments on that, we received, we met the requirements under the environmental impact reports, impact studies to move forward with the project. And we have had ongoing conversations with stakeholders, including the city of Oakland and also San Leandro and other groups, about how we collaborate on bringing this project to fruition, actually on behalf of the corridor. Many of you are familiar with OSNI, and Elisa, help me, I want to make sure I don't butcher the name, but Oakland Sustainable Neighborhoods Initiative for International Boulevard has spent a lot of time and energy trying to develop ways in which to enhance and develop the corridor. And that hasn't changed. And it's a vision that's been held by the community for a very long time.
Sorry, that's okay. Does anybody need translation?
Translation. You got translation? Okay.
While we're at this pause, we're gonna order some coffee for everybody.
Yeah. So, okay.
Coffee and water and tea.
Coffee and water for everyone. Sure. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
So let me know when.
Okay.
So as I was saying, so the ability to contribute to an improved economic and community development along this corridor has been a vision for the community for a very long time. We believe that the East Bay Bus Rapid Transit Project is an investment into this community in a lot of different ways. So the project, whereas it brings in a particular kind of bus service, it also adds other features that we think benefit the community. And we'll talk about those in the project. So I think it's important, as we have the conversation, to appreciate that there are benefits that come with a project like this, and there are mitigations that come with a project like this. And what is important to try to understand is, how do you balance the benefits, and how do you manage the mitigation? We are here, this project is here to enhance the community. It's not here to try and put folks out of business. We are really trying really hard to find ways to limit those mitigations through construction. We're working with the city to identify other ways in which we might be able to assist with bringing other support services to local businesses in this process. So I think one of the comments I think I heard was, what is our desire to work with the merchants in this area on this project, and our desire is very high. We have had several meetings like this. We want to have more. We intend to have more, to continue to gain merchant feedback and suggestions for how we can mitigate some of the concerns of the project. So go to the presentation. So I'm not going to bore you with the map, other than to say that this is a very long map, and that where we are today, up toward the northern end of the corridor, is where we're talking about the East Lake and the San Antonio. So again, what are some of the project highlights? It is a $178 million investment in the community. It's a 9.5-mile corridor in which you will see a significant portion of that. You will have significant street improvements that will enhance mobility up and down the corridor. The bus service itself, it's important to remember that much of the community around this corridor is very dependent on transit. It's a very highly transit-dependent corridor. So when we talk about mobility and helping people get to and from jobs and businesses and services and shopping and commerce, many of the people along this corridor depend on AC transit services to do this. So this BRT project is a further enhancement of those services that we can provide folks who live along the corridor. And so we're also looking at, career employment opportunities for folks who are looking for jobs at AC Transit. There are also going to be job opportunities for the construction phases of the project. We have a number of programs in place to help us employ local residents, disadvantaged workers on the project. And so we believe that these are some of the additional benefits that come with the project, and there are some other ones in the next slide we can talk about as well. So many of the things we're looking at, when we talk about complete streets and looking at how infrastructure projects can benefit communities, we talk about bicycling and pedestrian access. This project will improve the ability and the safety of bicycle transportation up and down the corridor. It will increase the ability of pedestrians to walk safely up and down the corridor. There are a number of places where we're adding in additional crosswalks, both perpendicular to International Boulevard, but also parallel to it, so that folks can walk up and down, get to businesses and shop from a pedestrian perspective as well. And we do believe that this project can serve as a catalyst of economic and transit-oriented development. There is a large, significant study that has been done that looks at the transit-oriented development on this corridor. And we believe this project ties very nicely into that vision. And so we hope that at the end of the day, we look to a long-term plan for the community in the corridor, that the BRT project is just a beginning component of what is a long-term economic and community development opportunity along International Boulevard. So these are some of the other, why BRT? When you're looking at trying to move people up and down the corridor, BRT offers what is sometimes called a light rail type process. It's cheaper, but it has some similar features where you have pre-boarding, you pay for your ticket in advance, you can get on the bus, and that increases delays at the fare box. You have real-time arrival signs so that people know when to expect the buses. You have very short headways where the buses will be arriving every 5 minutes versus every 10 minutes or so with the regular AC Transit buses. Increasing security with additional lighting and also cameras around the bus stations and the like. So these are things at the end of the day really help improve the transit experience for folks who live up and down the corridor. So just to touch on where we are and what's likely to take place so you get a sense of the timing of things. So we'll be looking at beginning construction on advanced utility relocation and some parking lots in the summer of 2014. We'll be completing the 65% design for bid package 3, which is the major construction, which is the stations and roadway construction. And that actual construction will begin in 2015, probably the fall of 2015, with the completion of the project ready to start operations in November of 2017. I'm sorry, Let me know if I need to slow down or pause, okay?
You're good.
Okay. Okay, so what I want to talk about in getting into this slide is that we have been doing a number of different outreach activities to get input from businesses about the project. One of them are events like this, where we have a standing offer for many of the community-based organizations up and down the corridor to come and meet with their constituents to talk about the project. What's really valuable for us, in addition to sharing information, is also making sure that we're hearing from you and what your concerns are, but also what are some of the potential mitigations that we can bring to the table as part of the 65% design that can help us figure out ways in which we can minimize the impact of the project during construction. Okay. So, whereas I'm doing a lot of talking at the moment, what's really valuable is that we're hearing from you about proposed ways in which we can actually look at the configuration, incorporate that into the design document to see if some of those things are feasible to mitigate and lessen some of the impact on business. Okay? The other thing that we've done is we have, Jay is in the house, Jay, from NRE. They have done a block by block merchant outreach effort beginning in November, in which they went up and down the entire corridor to engage merchants and talk to them about the project. Again, hear their concerns, get feedback or possible mitigation from them about the project. We think this is important because in order for us to look at our design, how we're going to build out the project, we want to make sure we're getting input from businesses that can integrate into that approach. Okay? So we want to make sure that we're creating a mechanism that allows us to be very specific about what kind of mitigations business owners can expect, what are the impacts on their businesses, what their concerns are, and then have a means in which we can actually implement that during construction so that any contractor who wins the job will know what kinds of mitigation he or she is expected to have in place, and the business owner also knows what should be done on his or her behalf in order to make sure that any disruption to their businesses is limited. Okay, so I'm missing the slide here. What I wanted to share with you is that we did block by block, in this block by block effort in San Antonio and East Lake area, we were able to connect with, I think, a total of, I'm going to say about 55 businesses to get feedback from them, 21 in the East Lake area, and I think it was about 34 in the San Antonio area to hear their concerns about the project. We have a merchant outreach report that we have that looks at all of their concerns and talks about what they think we should do differently about the project. In doing that outreach effort, they came with some concerns. These are some of the concerns that they expressed, as has been mentioned here today. Displacement of parking, long driveways during construction, loading zones, pedestrian street safety, and other construction issues like dust, and noise, and deep. So let me pause and say that there are also a lot of positive feedback that we received as well. Many of the merchants felt this project was good for them, would be good for their businesses in the long term. Felt that the improvement that this would bring was something that would benefit Oakland as a whole, but also their communities. And so, even though recognizing that there would be impacts, looking toward the long-term benefits, I think there was a sense that this was a positive project for the community. Recognizing that we do have to manage the mitigation. So these are some of the examples of the mitigations that we received from merchants. Okay? We talked about planning construction around business hours, or in such a way that vehicular access to merchant driveways is maintained during construction. Install or expand curb cuts and create additional alternative driveways for merchants located at corner lots, much like this location. Meters and posted time limits be installed along the blocks so that you have less unregulated parking spaces. So what I read in one of the comments was that there is a need for more metered and regulated parking, because without the regulated parking, you would have people who find a parking space would be there for the bulk of the day, which didn't allow other folks to come in and use the space, come in and shop and do business, because folks would just find a parking space and remain there for a long period of time. Okay? So based on the merchant by merchant or block by block outreach, we touched about And I think this number I have in here is a little low. We think we touched about between 15 and 25% of merchants up and down the corridor to again get their concerns and propose mitigations. We were able to create a matrix where we were able to group businesses by type, and also what were the mitigations or concerns based on those individual businesses. So I think the gentleman earlier talked about a automobile business or a auto dependent type business, and those are one of the significant blocks of businesses that we were able to identify, and they were able to link those with common impacts and also common mitigations. So the hope being that by looking at these groups by type, we can identify certain kinds of mitigation up and down the corridor that might be able to meet their needs on a consistent basis, and then apply those up and down the corridor. So if you are an auto-dependent business and you recognize there are certain impacts you're going to have, we will be able to tell you that these are kinds of mitigations you should see and expect during construction on the project, so that the businesses are aware of what they should have, and if those things aren't happening, they have the ability to reach out to the contractor and also DC Transit to make sure we're able to then follow up and take any corrective action needed to make sure that those appropriate mitigations are actually being put in place during construction. And by combining this with a merchant directory, we're creating a directory that lists every merchant up and down the corridor. That will allow us to stay in contact with that merchant, engage with them, share information with them, so that they can contact us, and we can contact them and let them know when construction is going to happen, what kind of mitigation should be in place, and ahead of time, so they're aware of what when the construction will occur, and also be able to reach out to us if there's anything they may need during that time frame to make sure that businesses aren't disrupted. So this also allows us to work with, we have established a community outreach working group where there's a couple of people in the room who attend those meetings. Andy and Elisa are there. Javier has also attended some of those meetings as well as Shepherd from Transform has attended those meetings where we are working with community-based organizations to talk about and develop mitigation and outreach strategies for this project. So when we talk about engaging with businesses, this is another avenue in which we are having people come together to help us make sure that we have a broad perspective of what mitigation should be and what ways we can address them as part of this process moving forward. So this is sort of a graphic description of what the result of the merchant outreach plan has pulled together for us. Basically, what it identifies is different stages of the project, different kinds of activities, how many merchants we think will be touched, who has different kinds of accountability, and how the community, through the community outreach working group, can be involved in helping make sure that we're executing on those things. So from a pre-construction phase where we are right now, the activities that we talked about, merchant directories being developed, we're doing business-to-business outreach that we talked about. We're having community-based organizations meetings as we speak. We've done a walking tour of one of the council districts with one of the council members. That's available to do that with other council members as well. We're looking at the possibility of the city bringing forth a business sustainability program.
Excuse me, Mr. Rodman.
Yes.
You're at 20 minutes.
I'm at 20 minutes already? Okay. Well, let me wrap this up real quick. Give me two more minutes. I can do that. So I got my 2 minute warning. So when you look at this list, we're going to touch on the directory. We hope to have all the businesses along the corridor included in the directory. We expect that through the business by business outreach, as I mentioned earlier, we hope to have touch more than 25% of businesses. And through the business sustainability program, that's going to be determined how many merchants get touched in that area. You see where AC Transit has accountability for something. The city of Oakland has a role to play in partnering with us with some of them. They have some which are primarily in their bucket, like the free business or pre-construction business sustainability. Also, with post-construction, what are some of the supplemental business support that needs to be provided by businesses impacted by the construction of the project? We don't know how many that will reach. That's the issue about what kind of resources we can bring together to help make that happen. So we look at I want to make sure we talk about the community outreach work and the community in general. They have a role to play in this as well. So as we're doing these things, we are bringing these issues before the community working group. They can give us feedback. Are these the right things or other things we should be doing? What should we be looking at? When we get to construction, they can help monitor, make sure the mitigations are being put in place, and so forth. So that's kind of the layout of how we hope to make sure we're touching upon the issues of mitigation for business. So these are contact information. Just want to say we have some brochures up here. Feel free to grab these. We have them in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, Chinese. There's contact information here on this block, email address where you can send in an email inquiry. We will respond to it. There's a telephone number on which you can call and leave a verbal message as well. You can do that in any of those languages.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lightfoot. First, I'd like to say there's some new people that came in, folks like yourself. Who they are. I'm Manuel Romero, from Romero Glass Studios.
My name is Jose Dorado. I have a tax preparation business from Bill.
Thank you, sir. My name is Emma Navarro. I'm coming from Milagro, Mexico.
My name is Carolina Gonzalez, and
My name is Sue de La Paz, and I am a business in 3217 International Boulevard.
I'm Suzanne with Eastside Arts and Arts on International.
My name is Susan Chen, I represent Oakland Chen Auto Repair. And International, 1-800 International
Sir,
I'm sorry,
you need to do it yourself, sorry.
I'm a basic transit.
Okay. Okay, let me, oh, I'm sorry.
Hello, my name is Beverly Green. I'm from Basic Transit. My niece went into labor this morning, so I'm sorry about that.
Okay.
Congratulations.
So before I move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the question of emergence, I'm sure a lot of anxiety, a lot of people want to ask questions. But let me do some debate about what you just said during your presentation. Number one, you said that your design to work with the merchant at any time. Let me ask you, what have you done besides listening to our concern? Did you do? I understand there are 3 points that you try to say, putting in meters and reduce, work with our construction, work with our hours during the construction frame. But what about the parking lots? What do you do about it? It doesn't, I feel like you should only put the bandage over the problem, and there's no concrete step to create more parking for us. And we already suffering parking here. So to add to the problem with AC Transit, I mean with the bus rapid transit system, how are you going to mitigate that problem? It's a permanent and it's a real problem that we are facing right now. Also, second.
So the question is really, how much parking lots? How much parking lots? Where is the parking lot? How much replacement? Where is the replacement parking for East Lake and San Antonio?
So, for East Lake and San Antonio, when you look at the impact on the parking and displacement of parking, there's a total of about 600 variety of parking spaces in the two areas. about 100 of those have been impacted by the current design. Let me speak to, when you asked a question about what are we doing about parking, and what are we doing about this impact?
For East Lake, I'm sorry.
Well, East Lake is part of the big message. What I want to say is that what we are doing right now, having these conversations, is finalizing and developing those actual plans. So when we look at the 65% design, the goal today and future conversations with folks is to get feedback so we take it back. So what may be identified as part of 40% design will be looked at as part of the 65% design. And the feedback we get can influence what that looks like. So currently, there'll be a loss of about 103 parking spaces up and down the corridor. We are adding new parking spaces. One of them on 35th and International, another at Austin and International Boulevard, so those are additional parking spaces. I don't know the exact configuration, so I can't tell you the precise number of new spaces needed added as a result of that. But those are locations where we'll be bringing in additional parking spaces.
So you don't know where the parking will be set up?
Not in detail that I can give you at the moment.
I can tell you, I'm sorry, I can tell you that I look at the plan and there's no replacement for East Lake or San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken. But I know there's no replacement for East Lake. So that's my concern.
Does anybody else in the room know where the replacement parking will be for East Lake?
Yeah.
The last time you said that you were going to tell us where the parking areas is going to be. The area that we have, the closest one is like 4 blocks from the area that our business is. So I don't think that people walking 4 blocks just to go to buy something for the pharmacy. We have a pharmacy and that's what revenue. So it's not fair for people that is sick come to walk 4 blocks just to buy one revenue. So if you can give us exactly the areas, so we can figure out what we can do, or I don't know, but we need that exactly the areas. So it is gonna help us so think what can we do with that. Also, we have delivery of products. We want to know if we are going to have areas to deliver the products. So there is a lot of the stores that we have the same problem. So we want to know about that.
What we hope to do with the loading zone is try to replace the loading zone on a one-by-one basis. And try to relocate the loading zone as close to where they previously existed as possible. So the goal is to make sure that we maintain a level of loading zone access, but we will have to move it to a different location. But the goal is to get as close to where it is currently.
I want to speak to your agenda, but I don't want to speak.
Okay.
I need to leave by 4:30 for sure.
Okay, so let me say something really quick and then I'll have to turn it over to Councilwoman. Are you sure? Okay, that's fine. We'll stay with the agenda. Let me also say something about, you said that you try to do the average block by block. I personally own the corner lot of 6th Avenue and International. We also have the office on corner of 7th Avenue, and yet I haven't heard. The first time I heard about this project is last week when Javier called me. So, you're not doing a good job, and please, Councilwoman, please make sure that this will not happen again, because many of our merchants in the area got surprised by this. Also, the fact that she owned the grocery store right there across the street, and I know according to the plan that I got from the basic, is that you guys will have a landing there, the bus stop there, right in front of her doors. and yet she doesn't know about that. So that says something a lot about your outreach. It needs to be, you guys really need to do a better job, and I just want to say that please, when you say something, please do it and mean it, not just saying that so that our community is better. That's what I want to address, you know, today in the meeting. And at the end of the meeting, I would like our councilwoman to please do not vote for the final plan until, you know, AC Transit sit down with us and have a real concrete action mitigation plan to address all our concerns. Thank you.
Getting back to our, answer the first question, we don't know what the special question would be.
Also, how do you plan to deal with the issue of the right lane for being a loading zone? I own Roberto glass studios and I get big trucks in my glass. So you know, one of those trucks is going to block clearly behind.
So no existing loading.
Right, so I think there needs to, in that, you know, we're gonna have to look at a number of different things. Because we would have to look at, in terms of, particularly working with, you know, our partners in the city. So what do we do about the fact that folks out on the street unload vehicles? So there's some issues that need to be looked at in that regard, and I think we're gonna have to figure out how we come to some sort of collaborative.
I hear that you guys want to make some time after hours for the trucks to be delivering the glass. Our company, my company, they don't work after hours. So there won't be enough product for me to do the business. I want to establish too, how you guys going to support the business that they get hurt by your project.
Yeah, so then our business, when it comes to we just, you know, it depends when the truck, the last truck is nobody can drive, you know, nobody wants to drive the international line. Because so traffic, you know, so we think we are now on the biggest truck and we, it's like 1988, 25 years old, 24 to 60.
I'm 35 years.
The good business, we make a last job in the job of the party, and we make money. And after that, we lose the last one.
Fruitvale bypass.
What is it? I'm not sure I understand your question in terms of.
He wants to know what the Fruitvale bypass is.
Anybody from AC Transit is living on Fruitvale bypass?
The Fruitvale Bypass project is just a reconfiguration of the intersection at Fruitvale and San Leandro Street to accommodate the traffic modeling with regards to traffic flow through that intersection. It's just the name that we gave to that project. The project is just to reconfigure the intersection, create left turns, left turn lane, and that kind of thing. That's all.
Actually, it's another business, it's not the last people in the bus.
I'm sorry?
It's not the last people in the bus.
So basically, most of our,
It's waste time, waste money.
so in their opinion, most of the local business here are surviving because of the people, automobile industry, and people driving to the area. So when you create a traffic like that, for sure, this entire neighborhood will be changing.
Yes, they're already.
Some business will be shut down completely.
No business.
And so my question for you, Councilwoman, and for you, AC Transit, what do you do about those businesses that you cannot mitigate the problem, their concern and their problem, we're hurting badly? This is real concern, and yet there hasn't been any answer, concrete answer on what you can do about that.
First year from AC Transit.
Okay. I just want to make sure you're addressing it. Well, let me start by, I think that, there is, our goal, and I'll, say it again, our goal is to work with the businesses to identify potential mitigation. That's not going to change, and that's what we are here to do. I think we've had 2 community meetings, or we've had 3. 2 of them, I recognize myself at both of them. So we are certainly, we are hearing your concerns. And so this effort is really designed to identify mitigation. So it would not be beneficial to the goal of identifying mitigations to, at this point, decide that there aren't mitigations that could potentially help businesses. We believe that there are. We believe in working with the city as partners, the community-based organizations, whether it's BASI, whether it's OSNI, the Unity Council, and other businesses involved in that process. We can identify some very significant mitigations that can help businesses sustain themselves through the construction process for the project. So I'm hopeful that in those efforts we will come up with mitigations for a significant number of the businesses along the border. And that's what we're trying to achieve. So as we have these conversations, we want to make sure, again, we want to hear from the businesses. When we come to these meetings, what do they identify as mitigation? What do they like to see? We show some on the screen. So this is an ongoing process. We're not done with this process. The process is complete, and we will continue to do more to bring more information to the table to help with that.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt this. I promised from the beginning of the meeting that I would not let you. And so that's exactly what. Sir, I'm sorry, now, concerned and not addressed. This is already, as I understand, you already 65% completion for the design. And I understand if at some point, if you go too far, then we can suggest all we want, but it's not going to change. That's what we are concerned and we worry. That's why we're recording the conversation today, and we want to make sure that your promise would translate into action, and that's.
So as we said earlier, the 65% design for the major construction is not complete. That is scheduled to go before the council in a number of months. So we are here to get information to inform that plan so that your perspectives are included in that discussion and development of the plan. You have to understand.
This is basically a decision. After this,
So let me just come back to it. So the answer to the question, what we do, we can't have it, we just consider business, BC Transit doesn't have a plan for that.
Our plan is to identify mitigations to address the concerns of the impact of businesses.
Right, I mean, you can't do that.
Well, but you're presuming that's the answer. But
Let's say if
well, I mean, I can't really. It would be. Well, let me just say that our goal is to identify the mitigation. So at this point, you suggest that if we can't, then what will we do? It would be preemptive to do that at this point.
Let me just, so we know everyone's process was in the room, that when the 2 people who actually work for AC, 3 people that actually work for AC, just to make sure we know, because Terry's a consultant. So Beverly, you work for AC Transit?
I do, and let me just say that we've been working closely with Terry. He's able to, we meet constantly about what's going on, and we're back in the office trying to figure out how to address things. So these are right here.
Mr. Wilkins works for AC Transit. Did you say you're done?
I'm the program director, Andy.
Program, yeah. Clarence Johnson.
Yeah, I'm the immediate affairs manager.
Thank you. So just returning to, I know you've got to leave at 10:30. I'm going to make sure you get time.
But I
Because
just,
I actually want to ask questions very specifically to follow up on your questions.
Okay, okay.
we just have two more quick questions, and then we're gonna let you get in. So, Nene, would you, Nene, Marius from Nene's Kitchen, wants to ask a question.
For easy transit for each meeting, some of us will do this weeks to come up with solutions to part-time voting and other concerns. Yes, how it
Well, we met with the Community Outreach Working Group last week. We shared our merchant outreach report, gave a summary. It was decided at that point that we would use that document to identify and create some likely scenarios of impact for similarly situated businesses, and then meet with members of the Community Outreach Working Group to identify possible mitigation. Mr. Nelson asked me if we could have some businesses participate in that exercise. I said, yes, we could. So that's one thing that we're doing. So
The answer to that question is yes.
within that concept, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
the next one.
This is actually, let me just, so the other thing we want, so we know that you guys get to 65% is very difficult to pass, right? We know that's coming up in the next 2 to 3 months. So what the merchants are actually asking is about for them, not for staff or nonprofit. But will you commit to getting the approval of these groups of merchants that you've been meeting with, Rubio, San Antonio, and East, you commit to getting their approval of the plan that you come up with to minimize the harm of businesses before the 65% about the 9 days is done, even if it means changing the project time?
As I said earlier, we are committed to working with you to develop mitigation. And when we do that, we will present that business impact mitigation plan as a condition of approval to the city of Oakland. So what we have an opportunity to do now, in these next 2 to 3 months, is work very closely together to identify those mitigations and look at those scenarios and make sure we have as complete, comprehensive business impact mitigation plan that we can. So we are committed to working with you to inform that.
So one follow-up, so if you don't come up with a plan that the merchants that you've been meeting with agree with, you're still going ahead and sitting down?
We will be developing a plan that we will present to the city council. No, well, I didn't, no, let me be clear. I didn't say it didn't matter. What I said was, if we are working with you to develop a plan, with your input and your suggestions that reflect your concerns, that we will have a better business impact mitigation plan as a result. And we will take that to the city council.
So that means, in other words, my question is, unless we sit down, and agree with what you come up with, then you will submit those plans, or without our approval, you still go ahead and submit the plan.
We
to
have an
council.
obligation to submit the plan to the city of Oakland. We will do that.
So in other words, it doesn't matter. So
Well,
now,
no, but please,
that's not what he
please,
said.
let me just be,
Okay.
thank you. But let me again say this. So we are here this morning because we have worked with Evasi and Andy to create an opportunity to engage businesses about the project. We can do more of these. We talked about the idea of looking at these scenarios and developing mitigations that will inform the plan. We will do that. So at the end of the day, we will have a plan that is informed and approved by the input from the businesses up and down the court. And we will present that to the city. So it does matter what the businesses say, and we want to hear it. We want to give you opportunities to bring that forward. We will continue to do that.
This plan will be informed and approved by the business.
It will be informed by the input we get from the community up and down.
Can I just,
No, yeah, go ahead, Beverly. Before you may want to respond to some after I talk to you. I'm going to try to be more specific about the questions they're asking. So is it okay if I'm now? Please. So greetings to everybody who's here, and some of you, people in San Antonio. I've been at numerous meetings with you, but the folks in East Lake, not. And so just a couple of prefacing remarks, and then I want to get very specific about the questions here. So, this whole BRT project, you know, has been worked on, I think, for 10 years by AC Transit, but it really kind of got advertised to the community starting about 2 years ago. And that outreach reached some merchants and not others. And it did, the people in San Antonio did hear about it and had a number of meetings, both general ones like this, and then some very specific merchant by merchant ones. And they, and in San Antonio and other parts in East Oakland, sat down and looked at the very detailed maps that shows exactly what is happening on every block, where there's a loading zone, where there's parking being eliminated, where there's a left turn lane. I mean, you know exactly what's going on. And so there were, AC Transit did make some efforts to meet one-on-one with merchants there who were very specifically impacted. Like if there's a business that needs to do loading and unloading and the parking was being eliminated, they talked about what could be done. And in some of those circumstances, the AC Transit engineers were able to suggest modifications of the actual design that could address the situation. In some of the cases, there just wasn't anything anybody could figure out, and there's very likely to be, in those cases, a very serious impact on those businesses. I mean, maybe the business will go out of business, maybe it won't. So I'm going to give the questions here about the East Lake. But first, the reason the city council has voted to go forward with various steps of the bus rapid transit project is that it does have the potential to do some very positive things for the International Boulevard corridor. But it also has the potential to do some negative things. And so we were trying to weigh, you know, what's the balance of all this? So, you know, as they said, there's going to be a whole bunch of physical improvements. It's going to look a lot nicer. And it will transport riders faster up and down the corridor, which is, for the riders, a good thing. And the buses along International Boulevard this is the most heavily, it's got the highest ridership of anywhere in the whole AC Transit system. So there's really a lot of people in this whole East Oakland corridor who actually do ride the bus. And so, you know, we wanted to pay attention to them too. But, so that is why the city council said, okay, we'll go forward with this. The last time the city council voted on this, we said, yes, we'll go forward, but on these conditions, that AC Transit come up with mitigations for the businesses that are going to be harmed because of loss of parking and other things like that. So we've been waiting for those mitigations. AC Transit has told us, well, give us some time. We're, you know, by the time we get to the 65% completed design, you know, that's when you'll see the goods. Okay, so we're waiting for that. So, so anyway, this whole news really didn't get to the East Lake merchants until much more recently. And so, so there's a lot of one-on-one conversations that need to happen. What I am concerned about is that it has taken so long to even get to the point of having a very general meeting like this one, where nothing specific is solved, we just talk about generalities. And in 2 months, the 65% plan is supposed to be in front of the city council. So it's scheduled to come in mid-May, which is just a little over 2 months from now. And so I want to hear from AC Transit very specifically, will you have engineer-type people actually meeting with merchants who are losing parking or losing loading zones and coming, you know, and trying to analyze what possible changes or mitigations could be done? Because you're going to have to do that, I would think, in the next 3 to 4 weeks in order to actually impact any changes in the 65% design. So my question to you is, will you need, you know, look at those really detailed plans and do that kind of very of which was already done in San Antonio and other places. What I am perplexed by is sort of the generality of this conversation, that you're saying, yes, we'll hear you, your input will inform our stuff. Well, it's a bunch of work to have that happen. I mean, you really need the design people and the traffic engineer type people out here, talking with them, looking at the map and trying to figure that out. So my question is, when is that gonna happen?
I'm sorry, also may I say something too? Thank you. Thank you so much. That's exactly what we need to hear from you. Also, is it possible that we bring in our own engineer? Can you fund us for that? Because this is very specific stuff. It needs some expertise. By the way, when you say that you go block by block, merchant by merchant, when we don't know what is going on, this is another level of expertise. Basically, you put us in a corner and say, look, this is our thinking, this is what's happening. But we never hear the other side of the story, the negative impact on businesses. So in a way, it's not fair.
Just because I know we got time, so we got two questions on the table. Councilwoman Kernahan has asked, Council President Kernahan has asked, when are you going to be specific business by business discussions with engineers and then T-Farm has asked that we should, that some with you, Basic Transit, pay for some consulting engineers so that the communities on it, putting those are the questions on the table.
So Councilwoman, I can't tell you that we can do that tomorrow because I would have to talk with the design engineers to figure out where they are, how we can facilitate making that happen. I will take this back to the team and figure out how we can make more engagement with some businesses along the border and have that very soon.
Okay, so that is not a satisfactory answer to me, and I know that you're, to me, does not answer my question. But
Let me try to answer your
actually, because
question.
I know who needs to answer this question.
Let me
which is this
do that then, Councilman
All right.
Kernahan. So this is a matter of timing. So the 65% design that we're submitting is not the end of the design effort, for one thing. But what it represents is the point where the design of the roadway alignment, the station architecture, the landscaping, all the different elements, communication systems, everything that are going to make the BRT work, are at a point where our agency partners go out and do the technical review. But as it affects the community in terms of this issue around business impacts, the timing of this is when we go into construction. So what that means is over the next few weeks, we are working with our agency partners to resolve design issues that are going to have an impact on what the final outcome of the parking impact is going to be along the corridor. We don't know that. We don't know that yet. Okay, for example, we are working with the cities of Oakland and San Leandro to address ADA ramps at the intersections. And depending on the size of the curb wall, for example, and how the ramp is located, that could possibly impact the amount of parking displacement along the corridor. But we're still working out those issues because of functional needs access requirements that we have to include in the design along the corridor. So it would be premature for us to have detailed discussions that you're talking about, say today. But in a few weeks, we're going to be able to start having them because the design is being solved in kind of a block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, and section by section area. So as those sections of the design get resolved, then it's our intention to come back out to the community through our outreach team that's sitting here with supporting technical staff at that time to have workshops and to go through exactly what we went through with you, Councilmember Kernahan, a while back. We go block by block and say, this is what's going on in your neighborhood. And so let's talk about what potential impacts might be now that you have some more specifics around it. For example, in this corridor here on 12th Street, this is a southbound direction mixed flow for the BRT. So what you can expect to see in the future is not going to be much different than what you see now, except that there's going to be BRT station that's going to replace a local bus stop. But the BRT stations are going to only displace parking to create a curveball so that the bus can just stay in the same travel lane that exists out there right now, pull up to the station platform, load and offload passengers, and go to the next one. So there's 3 of those curbside stations just in this segment between Lakeshore and 14th Avenue. There's no lane loss here, as your perception is. That's not true. There's no lane loss in this mixed flow section right here. And the same on International Boulevard in the northbound section going the other way. Those are curbside stations and mixed flow. The buses are going to load from curveball routes, which in some cases exist because they're already there with the local bus stops. So just like the buses stop now, just like you load now for your businesses to load and unload, at least in this particular segment of the East Lake San Antonio area, that's not going to change in the future. But how much individual, I mean, we're literally counting individual parking spaces now. For example, if we look at this intersection right here, you have this curb ramp right here. The city of Oakland says, oh, well, we want to put bi-directional curb ramps there. Well, if you do that, you got to change the configuration of the curb, which may impact a parking space that could go here or here on the corner. It's those kinds of details that we're going through. We just reached consensus with our city partners on the overall geometric approval drawings for the entire quarter just earlier in January. So we're continuing to work through this. And I understand everybody's anxiety around this and the need to know now. But as Terry has indicated, this process that we have with the community outreach work, the process that we have set up to come back to you, in the coming weeks, it's going to be with specific workshops to go through, look at the blocks where your businesses are, go through, and look at every single aspect. Loading zones, for example, in our parking methodology, at least as it's written up to this point, any displacement of the loading zone along the corridor gets replaced within the same block. So we're not going to just eliminate loading zones and then they're gone. There are certain parts of the parking methodology that require one-to-one replacement, and loading zone is one of them. So there's not going to be any forced, removal of the loading zone, which obviously would impact the businesses. So the other thing is that the business impact mitigation plan that we are in the process of developing, and that we're going to be developing with your input and the input that we get from you after we have